Hi everyone, for those of you that are new here, my name is Ada and this is my Hellcat Ruby. I've owned her for almost a year and a half now, and I wanted to do an updated version of a pros and cons video because ever since the sad news of Dodge discontinuing the Chargers and the Challengers as we know them, there might be a little bit of added pressure for you to be considering to purchase one in 2024. So I decided to, you know what, I'll share my experience on the Challenger Hellcat, and I've taken her up the mountains, down to the beach, and out to the desert. So I decided to share a few things that that I learned along the way. Before I start the video, allow me to be sassy for just a quick second. All right, I understand that not everything I say, okay, is gonna be 100% accurate or apply to everybody. I'm not delusional like that, okay? I just bought the car, all right? I didn't design it. I had nothing to do with it. So if you don't like Hellcats, like, just take it up with Dodge, okay? That's not my fault, all right? I just bought the car. And if you don't like Hellcats and you're gonna comment, oh, I don't like Hellcats, I prefer Scat Pats, like, bro, you clicked on a video that literally said Hellcat in the title. One last thing, if I see somebody say it's not a true American muscle car, I'm not gonna school you on history, okay? Overall, this is a great looking car. You still have some of the classic features such as like the overall silhouette and the body lines, the circular headlights, the grille, and one of my favorite things about this car, especially at night, is the fact that they still kept the tail lights rectangular. And at night, this car stands out so much because you can recognize it easily from the tail lights. And the fact that this is a V8 supercharged, it is a boat that basically pumps out 717 horsepower, and you still have the ability to make this go even faster. And my previous cars have all been 4 cylinders, so for this being my first supercharged V8, it has been quite a jump for me. It was a learning curve, but now I've gotten a little bit more comfortable driving Ruby around. And another thing that I had to kind of get used to is just how long this car is. And I wasn't expecting that, you know, especially from like a coupe. But just like with any other car, it just takes a little bit of time to get used to. Another thing to keep in mind is just how heavy this car is, and it does great in straight lines, especially when you're going in high speeds, but you're definitely going to need to slow down on curves because it has gotten a little bit sketchy when I've driven her in high speeds, and kind of like, especially like when you're kind of like exiting ramps off the freeway and things like that, you can definitely feel the car a little like and I wouldn't do it in the rain either. That's a whole other thing that I'm gonna go over in just a second. Now, a nice thing about having such a long car like this that somebody else pointed out, and I didn't even realize that until I read the comment, was that nobody wants to cut you off. Like, it's so funny how that doesn't happen in this car. So I think that's like an added bonus, and this might be something that's a little bit more particular to me because I do YouTube and Instagram. But I like to park and move the car around a lot, kind of just to kind of position the car. And let me tell you that she does not like to be moved often. So I don't know if it's like a Dodge thing with the battery, but she kind of struggles after a while. So if I'm like at a spot, I'm gonna need to wait a little bit or leave her on, so that way it doesn't struggle to turn her on, because it gets a little sketchy that I'm afraid that she won't turn on one of these days. Another thing I did want to mention when it comes to like the Challenger and having this front lip is when you're going over bumps or kind of like entrances of any like shopping centers that have quite a bit of slope, you're gonna need to also angle your car when driving through that, because it will scrape, it will kind of scratch up the front. I did that already underneath, so you can't tell. And when you're going over speed bumps, you're gonna have to take it slow, you guys, because I learned my lesson twice. And I won't do that again. There's a few things I wanted to mention when it comes to driving this car out in the elements. When it rains, I will opt out to drive my daily instead of my Hellcat, and that is because I drove it once, went over a puddle, and I lost a little bit of control. So I don't want to do that ever again. I've seen one too many videos of people driving their Challengers out in the rain, them not even driving crazy, and they lost complete control. And that's something that's like more than enough to scare me at this point. And I'm lucky enough where I can actually take my Hellcat out to the mountains, and that's never been an issue for me. I don't take it up when it rains or when it snows. I'm fortunate enough where the snow only stays up in the mountains, so I can drive her year round. I know that some people might need to store their cars during the winter for that specific reason, like dealing with black ice as well, but I'm lucky enough where I don't have to deal with that. And I have taken it out to the desert, and that's never been an issue, even though the temperature has hit like triple digits. Never overheating issues or things like that. So other than what I did mention was me turning on and off the car frequently, just because I kind of park it, do a couple reels, move it again. At that point she does kind of struggle, but again, that just might be something particular to me. The next thing I want to talk about is the stock performance of this car. Honestly, I've never been happier. Oh wow, anybody else want to say anything else? As I was trying to say, I have never been happier with the stock performance of this car. When you step on it, it really does respond, and you can tell that the car wants to go even faster. Along with like the Brembo brakes, it is honestly the best thing ever, and I live for the whine of this car. And I used to be the type of person that would drive with her music all loud, the windows up, and honestly I love the idle of this car that now I just opt out for like the windows down, and because of that it no longer has like the new leather smell, but that just means I'm enjoying the car. But it really does have a nice idle sound, and sadly I just feel like I got used to it over time, and I still want to put a new exhaust. So it's funny how like my friends are constantly reminding me that this car is super loud. But I'm over here thinking like it can be louder. When it comes to maintenance, I've only needed to do oil changes, and I've only put 7,700 miles on it. But other than that, she's been reliable. I've never had any issues. I take her out every single weekend, on occasion to like to work, or even just to do some errands. But I have yet to take her on a long road trip, so I can't really speak on that. My current miles per gallon, don't judge me, is 11.6. And that is just based off how I currently drive the car. If I drive the car a little bit more conservative, obviously I might be able to reach like 30 miles per gallon, but at this rate, yeah, it's currently 11.6. With that being said, that means you're going to be going to the gas station more frequent. I currently go every 2 to 2.5 days to put gas, and that is just because this car drinks a lot of gas. And I'm not complaining, trust me. I just want you to be mindful that your frequency of going to the gas station in this car is going to increase, so just keep that in mind. When it comes to the interior, it is pretty basic and a little outdated, but at least it is fully leather. I wish that they went above and beyond, being the last year of production. I wish it did have ambient lighting. That would have been something really nice. Sometimes it gets a little hard to find things around here, but at least you do have some of the modern touches. You got the heated and vented seats, you got the backup camera, and you do have a screen, so that way you're able to change the performance of the car. But other than that, I wish they kind of did a little bit more, in my opinion. One thing that is super annoying though is this blind spot. Let me show you. Let me see. Okay, it doesn't look bad from there, but if I take it off from here, give me a second. So I flipped you guys around so you can see my point of view. You can't see anything out of there, so I have to constantly rely on this little mirror. I check 3 times just so that way nobody hits me. So yeah, that blind spot is probably going to be the biggest pain about this car. But on a more positive note though, these seats are very comfortable. They hug you nicely. The leather is super soft, and I remember the first time that I really stepped on it, I like sunk into the seat.
Ready for setup when you can safely do so. Go to your Alexa app, add a new device.
How rude. I was talking. Another thing that if you do want to keep in mind is if you have really tall friends, those back seats, they might struggle a little bit with like leg room, but I don't have that issue. I just mostly throw my backpack or a sweater back there. So yeah, that wasn't really a factor when I was considering this car. I will throw in though that the trunk space is very spacious. So I highly recommend that you get an organizer, just because here in the front you don't have too much space. You have a little bit of space like in the armrest, but other than that you might need to throw things in the back. The last section that I want to talk about is the amount of attention that this Challenger gets. It turns heads both good and bad, and honestly I've gotten already pulled over a few times because of my dark tint and also the fact that I don't have a front license plate. Here in California, you can actually get pulled over for those two things, on top of having a loud exhaust, being accused of driving fast, even though it's literally just your stock exhaust. And driving a Challenger just in general has like a bad rep, and it comes with like a stereotype that kind of sucks, because obviously not all of us fall into that type of stereotype. So those are just like some things to kind of keep in mind when you decide to get a Challenger. Now, on a more positive note though, I love getting attention from like the little kids that get excited from just seeing the car and they ask to do like a burnout or even just to rev it. Another thing is going to the gas station. You're gonna get, it's like a great conversation piece that people at the gas station will literally stop and talk to you. That's always super fun. Also, the amount of people at red lights that stop and like give me a thumbs up is literally like one of the best feelings as well. I just love that this car gets the amount of attention that it does, and it's probably one of my favorite things because it does turn a lot of heads when you do take it out. At the end of the day, if you always wanted a Challenger Hellcat and you have the means to do so, just go for it. At least it's not like a $200K car straight from the dealer. I know that once you start factoring like insurance and gas, it does get a little bit pricey, but hey, you do what you want with your money, all right? It's a great car. It sounds great. And the fact that it still has some of its classic features is probably one of the best things about this car, with great modern performance, and as well as it's super comfortable to be in. So that's it for today's video. I hope you guys got to enjoy it. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Drive safe.